Hi there, and welcome to another Cigar Advisor Cigar Review panel, Cigar Review. I'm Gary Korb, Executive Editor for CigarAdvisor.com and an unindicted co-conspirator in an undisclosed misdemeanor case. Today we're going to be reviewing the Fratello Toro from Fratello Cigars core line, and as always, our group of unusual suspects is here today, so let's meet them. If he was a lawyer, he'd represent the Lollipop Guild. Please say hello to Mr. Fred Luntz.
My clients are all dead. The last one died.
If he was president, Run to the Hills would be the national anthem. Yes, Tommy Z-Man is here. If he could fly, cows would be worried. It's John Crulo, everybody. There you go.
That's funny.
Best line of the week.
That's good.
And it's only Monday.
It's only the beginning of the week.
Okay, so let's get to the stats. Let's get to the stats on the Fratello Toro that everyone's smoking today. It was made at Fabrica Tabacos Joya de Nicaragua, which means the Joya de Nicaragua factory. The dimensions are 6 1/4 by 54.
Thanks a lot there, Rosetta Stone.
The filler.
Get it together, you two.
The knowledge that we drop on this freaking show is just priceless, Gary. Keep going, buddy.
Well, people want to know.
Sure.
The filler is Peruvian and Nicaraguan. Okay, yeah, they put a little Peru in there. And the binder is an Ecuador Sumatra, and the wrapper, which is really gorgeous, it's really oily, and it's even got kind of a reddish hue to it. The wrapper is Nicaraguan Habano.
It sure is.
Nicaraguan Habano for the wrapper. And it's rolled in 5 sizes. It's available in what's called the Boxer, which is the torpedo, the Corona, a Robusto, the Timicol, which is a 6 by 60, and of course the Toro that we're smoking today. It's presented in boxes of 20 cigars, and you can also get them in 5 packs. So, now that that's out of the way,
This is a beefy Toro. What size is it?
it's a 54.
Yeah, I
54.
figured it was a
1/4 by
54. Yeah,
54.
very nice size on this. That is.
That's okay.
So let's get down to Fred and get the whole thing going.
So, to sum this up, mouth-watering. This is a very juicy, stimulating cigar. So it's just, it's stimulating. It is stimulating. It's much like PBS. So,
Okay.
to start it off with construction.
You mean like Sesame
beautifully-
Street?
Yeah.
Christ.
One puff on the cigar.
No, like Downton Abbey.
Oh, puffs on the cigar. 3 puffs on the cigar.
Okay. All right, back to this cigar now. Okay.
Moving on.
All right, moving on. So, to start off with construction, the Habano wrapper in this is gorgeous. It's finely veiny. The seams are faultless. The burn is fantastic. There's a slight toothiness to it, very slight, but it's mostly got a nice oily sheen to it. And the burn line is, well, mine's kind of a bit wavy today, but the baseline that I had was perfect. And the ash is just solid white. So the flavors on the cold draw, I got a bit of a fresh melon kind of taste, as well as like an earthiness and a lot of barnyard. A lot of barnyard. It was so strong, and kind of a rich tobacco note. So it's kind of continuing on that right now. It's still very fruity, a little bit more like a plum-like sweetness. Tommy, what are you getting now?
Well, the first thing is when you pre-light, put the foot of this cigar, that's the open end, up to your nose and really take a deep inhale. We were all saying, the guys were saying barnyard, or reminds me of when I've been in a curing barn like in the DR or Honduras. It's got that same smell, so brutally earthy, but I like that because if you've ever had a chance to go in a curing barn, it's a cool experience, and the smell is overwhelming. But even the pre-light taste had that wicked earthiness to it. So, and a lot of people have said to us, I've noticed on some of our videos, oh, well, why would you care about what pre-light taste is? Well, there's a lot to it, and Jose Blanco actually talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
So, but on the initial puffs, there's just a wicked earthiness to it, but a interesting sweetness to it at the same exact time. And I was wondering if you were getting that.
Actually, the sensory experience starts even before you cut it and before you even take a cold draw. For me, just taking it out of the cello alone was enough to stir up some of the aroma, the pre-light aroma, without it even being cut, and it just smelled like a stout, a very stout, very full cigar, which now that we're actually into smoking, it doesn't come off that heavy as far as the body is concerned, or at least as far as the strength is concerned. The flavors are very full.
Yeah,
Even just a couple of puffs in. But to Fred's point about construction, chocolatey brown wrapper with a nice sheen, is very firmly packed. The ash holds very well. For the most part, pretty white, at least what mine is, and thick, mostly creamy smoke pouring off this thing already. So, to Gary's point, made it way to Nicaragua, which is why I think I'm a fan of the cigar.
but packed with tobacco,
Oh.
right? This thing is heavy.
They found every
sturdy.
corner and they filled it.
I mean, even when you're just feeling the cigars, you're smoking it, man. This thing is sturdy.
I'll tell you what, while you guys are enjoying your cigars here, I'm going to tell everyone a little bit about the Fratello cigar line and Omar De Frias, who created this line. He was a former NASA engineer who happens to be another one of those guys who kind of virtually had no or very little experience in the cigar business. He was working at NASA. But he was so passionate about cigars, he said, okay, I got to do this. And what happened was he learned everything he could about tobacco. He would fly to Dominican Republic. He'd go to Nicaragua.
Yeah, and he
he'd talk
spent
to the
years,
experts.
right? Years
Yeah, it takes
learning.
years to do this. And he spent 2 years developing this blend. This is the original blend. And of course, the production went to Hoyda, Nicaragua. Now in 2013, this blend was launched, and it actually earned, this is like his first cigar, right? Yeah. He gets the hottest new cigar brand of the year award. So he got off to a very good start. Now, the other thing is Omar was born in the Dominican Republic. So he grew up, his childhood was spent there. And next to his house was this little, bodega, whatever, little store, and it was managed by a fellow named Don Rafael. And Don Rafael one day took Omar to see a torcedor roll cigars. And the man, was rolling cigars, and he handed Omar a cigar, and he said, "Kid, welcome to the Gentleman's Club," right? That's cool. And something he never forgot, and it kind of planted the seed for what was going to happen 20 years ahead. So,
It's kind of funny, Gary, you're talking about, and I had read that he worked for NASA. Here
Yeah,
you've got Omar working for NASA, and here you got Rocky's bus driver, Oscar,
Yeah.
who also knew nothing about cigars and made cigars. So anybody, you guys can learn enough about cigars.
You
Doesn't matter
can,
who you
but
are.
Give them to us to
you have to really be passionate about it, and you have to have some coin in the bank too.
Guys,
But the main thing is, guys, give them to us to smoke.
I have to
Yeah,
say this. Talk about the aroma because it
Okay.
is powerful. John, what do you think?
It's creamy, woody.
But powerful, man.
But that goes back to what I said when we took it out of the cellar the other day for the first time, doing just one of our baseline samples, and it just this wave hits you of the fermentation process. You talk curing barn, so it's the same kind of thing, just like right in your face.
Well, when Rafael Nadal was here a few weeks ago, you saw him he would do this.
Yeah. The aroma's important.
And
It's one
really get it up there. And when you do that, you really notice what's in that cigar.
I like a cigar with a really nice aroma. What I don't like is sometimes you're sitting next to a guy smoking a cigar, and you don't know what he's smoking, so it just smells terrible.
Yeah.
But you can't say anything. Hey, your
minute.
cigar stinks.
Starting to get a little
this
insecure.
does have
And your ass is no prized possession either.
This does have a nice aroma to it. Also, the band, this kind of cool band. Omar also designed that, so he was involved in everything. This guy.
He actually
And,
took this off an M1 rocket or something.
John, you're Italian. You know what Fratello means in Italian?
Friend, buddy,
Yeah, well, brother.
brother.
Yeah, and that was Omar's nickname. He picked it up in college, so that's why he named it Fratello. And also, he's 6'9".
He's a big guy.
He's huge.
He's a big
Imagine
guy.
him and Willie Herrera
Yeah.
together. That would be
They could do
something.
a dunking
I was
contest.
gonna say I want those guys on my cigar pickup basketball team.
Yeah, he had actually he was
Go
planning on
apple
going
picking
into
with
the NBA. They were interested in him, but he had knee injuries.
Really?
So yeah, but I think he did okay. You know, because the cigars have all had very high ratings too.
I was going to say, you
So-
can take that to the bank. For
Call
sure.
this a slam
So,
dunk, if you will.
How about flavors, Fred?
Yeah.
Well, right now it's very woody. It's still earthy, and it still has a lot of fruity sweetness. So I know on the baseline there was a bit more spice that developed further down the line, but right now it's still really honing in on that fruity sweetness, kind of like a plum I'm getting, and it's kind of toasty as well. And one thing I know I want to point out to you guys is there's some thick tobacco in this, because some cigars you have to remind yourself, take it slow, burn slow. But with this, it burns slow for you. You can pull on this as hard as you want, it burns slow. I mean, it took me nearly 2 hours to get through the baseline, and this one will probably take at least 2.5 hours the way it burns. It is a slow chugging, enjoy this, take your time with kind of cigar.
And no one pulls it harder than Fred. I can tell
Well.
you that right now.
Well, I'm going to take that as a compliment. All right.
Even the box moved when it heard that.
Shattering Earth news.
It is, it's earthy, and some guys don't like that, but I think it's, like I said, it just reminds me of a curing barn. And I know if you've never been to a curing barn, it's a very intense, because the cigar leaf is hanging from rafters. And when you go in there, it's like, whoa, you know, that smell is overpowering. It kind of reminds me of that. I mean, if you love earthy, full flavored cigars. Now, I saw, I think on Fratello's site that they said this was medium. Is that possible?
Medium full.
Medium full,
like medium plus.
but yeah, I guess, you know what? Not strong where it's knocking me out, but wicked full flavor. There's a lot going on. And I'm only an inch in, and you know what? I didn't get to have the original baseline smoke like these guys, so this is my first one in a very long time. And boy, it's a lot for early in the morning as we're smoking now. I think it would go great with some good coffee, but lots going on, man.
Interesting that you say coffee, because coffee
good with coffee.
does kind of change the profile a little bit. Because this, the other day I smoked it with water. Today I smoked it with coffee. A little bit of difference, especially I notice it's still heavy on the cedar. Yeah. But the other day I noticed a very tangy and sweet and
Yeah,
salty
I'm getting sweetness.
combo altogether.
Yeah. And a little tang there.
And mild herbs, like slight spice and stuff like this. But it really went wild on the taste buds if you're not muting it with coffee. Kind of the mouth-watering sensation, that's the saltiness that's coming in. A little bit herby here and there. Pepper comes to life eventually. And then that tanginess lasts, and eventually by the time you get to about a third in, almost becomes like a liqueur. So sweet but thick.
Interesting.
Nice flavor to it, but you can taste the layers. Like so this definitely falls in the complex category. So you got like the dominant note that's occupying think of it as like an airspace that's up here, the top third, right? And then you have some of the more mellow, muted flavors down here about an inch wide, right around the ground. But you can see these different layers. You can feel those different layers as you're smoking it. So, and first half, completely different than the second half.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And I'll tell you, and there's a lot of cigar.
It is a lot of cigar.
And the ash is great too. Look at Tommy's ash there and Fred's.
Should I turn around?
And anybody retrohale this thing?
Yes, I did. I was just going to say that when
Okay,
you were
well,
done.
tell us about that.
The retrohale, like I said, the aroma is strong. The retrohale is like wicked on this. I mean, you get it up into your sinus cavities, which you don't want to do, Gary.
What do you taste though? You get any different flavors? Or?
Well, pepper, but
Lot
you
of
know,
pepper.
the proverbial black licorice.
Oh, okay.
So I'm telling you that there's like that raisin, black licorice, dark fruit, something like that. That's kind of all in the same flavor category a little bit, and very heavy when you retrohale this. But man, that's like, whoa.
See, I'm not finding it that heavy.
Pepper, earth, and wood. Nice. It's a nice combo. I like it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Up
I
there.
think most cigars have a cedary component. to
Yeah.
them, you know.
They're all aged in cedar wood.
Yeah.
So I
But,
feel like that plays a large role in the flavors.
You know, I think I don't know that much about Peruvian tobacco, but a lot of guys like to use it because it does have a certain something to it that gives it a
spiciness
little,
to it.
yeah, a little zing in there.
Oh, there's
you
some
know.
spice to this. It hasn't developed quite yet, but the aroma for me is very, very spicy. You know, it's kind of like a baking spice, but or like a red pepper sort of. It's got like a little kick to it, but it's not knocking out the sweetness. It's very well balanced. And I don't know if other guys have noticed this, but it has like a mouth feel to it, like it coats your mouth. And it's very sweet on the lips, on your tongue. You taste
Really?
it.
Yeah, there
and
is some sweet tobacco
it's like you
in there.
just bit into a fruit, and there's just like a lingering layer on your mouth. It just hangs in there, very, almost like an oily or a buttery texture that it leaves.
You know, what I was thinking as I was starting to smoke this, because of the flavor and that just wicked earthiness that I really like, a lot of the reviews we do, the idea is to kind of bring you some new stuff that you may not have tried. And I think Fratello is not a name that everyone associates with cigars, or you may many of you may never have heard of this beforehand. So that's why we try to bring you stuff like that. And
that's true.
and it's awesome for us, because I don't, like I said, I may have smoked one of these way back, and to revisit this, I'm saying, holy God, I'm going to buy a bunch of these. I'm going to go in the store here at Famous, and I'm going to buy a bunch of these when this is done. This is this good. But so if we're discovering this, we're hoping we pass this on to you guys so you can discover as well.
I mean, these have been around for 5 years now. And it's a boutique brand, and he's also got some other line extensions, and all of them have done wonderfully in terms of scoring, and he's got like like a lot of other boutique brands like Crown Heads, those guys. He's got a following. The people are into the cigar. I've heard very few negative things about the Fratello line. And I'm not just saying.
No,
that
well,
for this.
I read a bunch of reviews online just to see what other people were saying, and everyone likes this cigar a lot. All real good reviews.
And Omar was here several years ago to introduce his brand, and so I got to meet him. And I got to admit, I thought it was a little too spicy for me at the time. I wasn't that crazy about it, but I got to tell you, I haven't smoked very much of it, but this is really good, really nice. It's smooth, it's creamy, it's spicy, it's but not peppery, and it just So, anyway, are we ready to wrap it up?
I'm gonna say this would be for your more experienced smoker. Some deep, complex flavors in there. It doesn't switch around too much. They just kind of come in fleeting sets. You might get some sweetness here, then it switches to a little bit more spicy, then it comes back a little bit more sweet again. You get a lot of cedar, you get a lot of toast. There's a lot of very good, rich, creamy flavors in there, a lot of fruitiness. It's very mouth-watering. It's a complex cigar, but it's highly balanced. It says a lot of heavy tobaccos, but it doesn't feel heavy. The body's there, but the flavors keep it round. So it doesn't need any age on it. Some people like to keep, aging their cigars, keep boxes on it. This is perfect out of the box. Expertly made, Hoya de Nicaragua factory. As you can see, the ash is solid white. The burn line is fantastic. The wrapper is gorgeous on here. There's no fault with any of these that I've seen. So I'm going to say this cigar is a knockout. What do you think, Tommy?
I'm going to agree with you. I don't do that a lot, do I? But no, this isn't for...
Depends on the
It's not for beginners. And I say that because there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of full earthiness and full flavors going on here. And I think a more experienced palate will appreciate that a lot more. I think a more experienced palate has something to compare this to. Other full-bodied, other Hoya de Nicaraguas, Drew Estate stuff, even Padron stuff. You can compare it to that. A beginner really can't do that. And I think this is worth trying to pick up those flavor profiles and see
I
what
think they would
this...
like it if they could, but I think you're right. I think there's a lot going on here, like you said, and certainly more experience, you could pick up more things, but it's not overpowering. So if, you want to try it and you're new to cigars, hey, go for it.
And it's not priced out of range for a new cigar smoker. It's a very reasonable price, but it's just, I think flavor-wise, you're going to get more out of it if you have some experience behind you.
No, I like it an awful lot. I really do, and I really am going to get some after we're done here. This is very good.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to disagree with both of you, but in a way you never did, but in a way that agrees with individual points you made. Yes, if you are a more experienced cigar smoker, you're going to appreciate more of the flavors. Yes, it's a solid price point, but I think that even if you're not very experienced with cigars, there's still plenty to take away. You're just going to enjoy a good, solid smoke. That's not too strong. It's medium in strength and medium to full in body and flavor. I think if you're not an experienced palate, you're going to like that. This is really a tale of two cigars. In a way, you have a first half and a second half, really. I alluded to this a little bit before. The first half I noticed it to be salty sweet, kind of like before you take a tequila shot. The salt and the lemon.
I get that salt.
Right?
I'm this far down, and
Yeah,
I'm
it is a
getting
little,
Yeah.
it is
that
a little
saltiness.
salty.
So then the second half, if you stick around with it long enough, malty, cereal, grains, flour, earthy, very full, very rounded flavors. It is a 2-hour Toro, as Fred said before, for sure, but it is nicely complex. And to your point, yes, Fratello is not a new cigar, and we're not breaking any news here.
No.
But I think what this is now that we have a full complement of it at famous-smoke.com, it's worth our attention on this cigar review panel, also because it's a solid Nicaraguan smoke made by Hoyt in Nicaragua, and it's also a true legit boutique who's still going ahead and putting all this attention to detail and making a go of it in the face of the FDA skunking up the works. So this is the little guy, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Omar's got a nice...
6'9".
Well, yeah. Figuratively speaking, figuratively speaking, Omar is the little guy,
Yes, that's true.
and he's going ahead and putting a quality product in spite of the fact that the FDA is making it very hard to do this kind of business right now. And no wonder I like it. It's a Hoya, and it's right in my sweet spot. Medium, favors flavor over strength. I pick it as a solid buy.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, panel. And you can see all of our cigar reviews and articles at cigaradvisor.com. Don't forget our Cigar Advisor live show every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and wherever there's a social media website, that's where you'll find us there. So that's all for now. We'll see you at our next review. And until then, happy smokes.